Improving the resilience of coastal communities to climate change in Vietnam is a nearly $30 million project implemented by the United Nations Development Program UNDP in collaboration with the government of Vietnam and 28 coastal provinces of Vietnam. The project consists of 3 targets: building 4,000 safe houses to protect vulnerable communities from increased flooding and storms, replanting 4,000 hectares of mangrove forest to provide a natural buffer between coastal communities and the sea, and enhancing climate risk information to guide climate resilient and risk-informed planning. Vietnam is considered one of the 30 countries at most extreme risk to climate change. Here, more than 500,000 people live within only 200 meters of the coast. Their homes are usually affected by typhoons, and many of them live in unsafe houses. With the support of the Green Climate Fund, 4,000 houses capable of resisting storms and floods will be built in 5 coastal provinces: Quảng Ngãi, Huế, Thanh Hóa, Quảng Nam, and Quảng Bình, during 4 years of implementing the project until 2021. Hello, you're watching Sharing Vietnam. For a year now, UNDP has been working closely with Vietnam's government to help improve the resilience of vulnerable coastal communities to climate change-related impacts. And today, Ms. Caitlin Wilson, resident representative AI of UNDP in Vietnam, will have a talk with us about this special project. Hello, thank you for joining our show today.
Thank you so much.
First of all, can you share with us the progress of UNDP's project to improve the resilience of vulnerable coastal communities to climate change-related impacts in Vietnam till now?
Thank you so much for this question, and it's been an important year. The project got started at the end of 2017, and since then we've had very good progress. There have been more than 1,000 storm-resilient houses, low-cost storm-resilient houses that have been built. We've also engaged communities in the regeneration and planting of almost 200 hectares of mangrove forest. And also there's been outreach with community-based disaster risk management training. I think 100 communes and reaching almost 11,000 people. So there have been very good results in year 1. So for 2019, our next we're looking at raising our ambition and actually looking at constructing 1,300 homes, low-cost storm-resilient houses, and regenerating 1,300 hectares of mangrove forest.
So what are the key factors to ensure the success of this project?
So I think the key aspects that have been critical to ensure the success, the first is taking a people-centered and integrated approach. Another aspect that's been very important has been the engagement of government at all levels and engagement of community, which is really at the heart of this. It's really about people and the most vulnerable and the poor who have been left behind. But it has taken an approach that's involved government commitment at all levels, from the Prime Minister to the Minister to the Vice Ministers and all the way down to the provinces. We've had extraordinary commitment from the People's Committees and from the communities themselves. And it's taken this whole of government approach and whole of community approach to really make this a big success. The other dimension is that it brings together different parts of government in a coordinated and integrated way to serve people. So we have the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development who are involved, the Vietnam Disaster Management Authority, the Ministry of Construction, the Vietnam Women's Union. We've got different volunteer organizations and the communities themselves. And this has been extremely important in ensuring that we have a sustainable approach and one that meets the needs of people. I would say there's another dimension that I would like to share with you, and that's how we monitor the construction of the houses, and this has been key to the success. We've developed a mobile app, and through this app we're able to measure and monitor the progress of the house. We're also able to, through the app, if there are challenges or issues that arise, to immediately be notified so that they can be resolved. I would say another success or element of the success is global best practice. So I think looking at what the global best practice is and seeing what can be adapted in a way that's going to be sustainable in the Vietnamese context and will help make a difference. And then finally is looking at how we can engage with other segments of society, bringing in the private sector to play a larger role. And I think this is something we would like to raise our ambition with in the future.
One of the 3 targets of the project is to build 4,000 houses in 5 provinces. So let's talk more about it. How's it going now?
So it's been going extremely well so far, and we've had very strong engagement from government and communities. The houses are, the storm resilient houses are low cost, they're very reasonable. And I think a key element is really making sure you have a strong, solid, cement reinforced foundation, a strong roofing, and also 2 levels in the event that there's flooding, so that you can have, for those who are not able to move or escape when a typhoon or a flood hits, they're able to at least go to a safer level and above the flood levels. So that keeps them safe at least throughout the storm surge and the flooding period. So the targeting is really looking at those who are the poorest within the vulnerable communities. And it's our hope that through their demonstration of how these simple but safe, low-cost, resilient houses can be built will inspire others around them to also make a difference.
It is estimated that nearly 60,000 houses are destroyed or damaged by storms and floods every year. The project Improving the Resilience of Coastal Communities to Climate Change will prioritize the safety of groups residing in coastal areas.
Chúng tôi đã xây dựng lên một cái chương trình là xây dựng 4.000 căn nhà cho nhân dân cái vùng nghèo có cái yếu thế trước thiên tai. Thì phải nói là khi triển khai thực hiện được cái sự đồng thuận của người dân rất là lớn và các gia đình hết sức là phấn khởi. Và hiện nay thì các địa phương đang đồng loạt triển khai thực hiện. Thực sự chúng tôi đánh giá là kinh phí cho dự án thì không phải là quá lớn, nhưng nó mang lại cái hiệu quả rất là thiết thực.
Cái chương trình của Quỹ Khí hậu xanh và chương trình phát triển của Liên Hợp Quốc được thông qua Bộ Nông nghiệp Phát triển Nông thôn triển khai tại tỉnh Quảng Ngãi là một cái tín hiệu, một cái việc làm cụ thể rất tốt đối với cộng đồng dân cư Quảng Ngãi nói riêng và của khu vực miền Trung nói chung. Chính quyền đảng bộ các cấp và chính quyền các cấp của tỉnh Quảng Ngãi đã nỗ lực rất nhiều để làm hết tất cả những gì có thể để giúp cho bà con ở cái vùng mà bị tác động không thuận lợi của thời tiết, của thiên tai vượt qua khó khăn này. Tuy nhiên cái nỗ lực nội tại của chúng tôi thì rất hạn chế, rất cần cái sự quan tâm sâu sắc và cụ thể kịp thời của các tổ chức cá nhân trong và ngoài nước.
The new storm and flood resilient houses are based on simple designs to create a stronger structure. Features include a measurement level for flooding protection, reinforced roofing, and the use of strong cement. The measurement level allows residents to comfortably stay in their houses during a disaster, safe from high flood levels. This measurement can also be used as an area to store valuables during disasters and avoid it being washed away or spoiled by flooding waters.
Thì ông cũng cảm ơn là sự giúp đỡ nhất là của dự án của Liên Hợp Quốc. Thì ông mình cái già là ông này cuộc đời ông bữa nay là nhất rồi, thỏa mãn nhất rồi, là chiêu nói chung ông nhất rồi đó. Lúc nhất là lúc mưa gió với lúc bão lúc mà yên ổn là mẹ cháu là yên ổn. Nói chung là mẹ thỏa mãn về sung sướng rồi đó.
Đây là chúng tôi không từng mơ ước, nhưng giờ chưa đã mơ ước, giờ chưa đã có thì chúng tôi rất chi là vui mừng, rất chi cảm ơn. Nhiều khi mừng quá là đêm năm ngủ cũng được, từ khi xây căn nhà mừng quá là ngủ không được luôn.
At least 3,000 more resilient houses will be built by 2021, benefiting about 20,000 poor people who are greatly affected by natural disaster in 100 communes in coastal areas. So now it's year 1, and while implementing this part of the project, have you faced any challenge?
think one of the challenges faced by the team is also the seasons and storm season. So having to get the houses and the foundations, key elements built in advance of the storms. So the seasonal dimension has created a challenge, and we needed to move up a lot of the construction work to the second quarter and third quarter. And this required a massive effort on the government side to move their finances and co-financing quickly, on the community side for their contribution, and on the project side as well. So I'm very pleased with the collaborative effort that really led to the construction of the first 1,000 homes. And it's been a fantastic partnership so far. But we're not there yet, so we need to continue our efforts, redouble our efforts, to continue to expand and to scale the results.
So with the capacity of flood and storm resilience, whether this kind of house is expensive and complicated for the poor people to build themselves without any kind of support?
That's right, 4,000 houses that we're constructing for poor families. And no, it's a very simple design. It's a simple design, it's a safe design, and it's easy to follow in that sense. It's also not very expensive. Overall, it's about 38 million Vietnamese dong, or 1,700 US dollars, to build one of these structures. And there are different ways. The project is providing some support and credit. There's also support provided by the government for those who are poor and vulnerable and left behind. And there's also, if you want to improve, there can be additional funding available from the bank. So overall, we found that the core model is simple, it's safe, it's affordable, and it can be done and replicated. And then if there's a need, we actually are setting up a network of those who are experienced in constructing these low-cost storm resilient houses, and they can be called upon if people need them through UNDP, but also through the communes that they exist in, and through the People's Committees. They can go to their own provinces and ask for support in these areas. But we must say that the housing selection and the beneficiaries is done very carefully to make sure that the project is benefiting those who are the most vulnerable, those who are the most poor. They often tend to be women and elderly women, or those with disabilities, for example, who are not able to move quickly when you need to evacuate and a storm or a typhoon is coming.
And how about maintenance? Does this kind of house need any special method to maintain?
Well, actually, the maintenance is like the maintenance you would have with any house. There's nothing exceptional in that way. And in fact, the maintenance on these houses can actually be less than the maintenance on other houses that are less strong, more vulnerable, and more likely to decay.
So the target now is to build 3,000 houses by 2021. Are you optimistic about this?
So we think we're on target. I think the first year has been a really good indication of what can be achieved. And usually the first year is a bit slower. So we were very pleased that we had 1,000 in year one, and we're on target for 1,300 in year two. The challenge, I think, will be, while we'll achieve the project objectives, and that's very good and it should be done, is it sufficient for reaching all the people who are vulnerable and in need of storm resilient housing, and also regenerated forest, etc. Our hope in the longer run is that while this project is really focused on the most vulnerable, we hope that it will extend to all who are vulnerable through replication and scale. And that's where we really want to invite in the private sector and other international organizations and government, because at the end of the day, we really want a Vietnam that is resilient, secure for everybody.
Ms. Caitlin, thank you for our very interesting talk today. And that's all for Sharing Vietnam today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.